Mancuso on the serve. Thompson, back set, Tomasavic. Thompson goes to Bree Haggerty. Pavin. Big swing from Pavin. And now Washington will call a timeout. Up 3 here in game 1 of the finals. The Huskies with the lead over the Huskers. A couple of kills for Sonja Tomasavic with 8 digs as well. Let's get to know the senior from Serbia, Montenegro.
Hi, my name is Sonja Tomasavic, and I'm from Serbia and Montenegro, far, far away. When I was in 7th grade, I had a choice to be an actress or a volleyball player, and I chose to be a volleyball player. When I was first coming to the University of Washington, I thought I was going to Washington, D.C., but then I got a postcard with the Space Needle on it, and I realized I'm going to Seattle.
That's pretty good that the Space Needle is so internationally known for the folks out in Seattle. She knew where she was headed. They are certainly glad she arrived safe and sound. All-time kills leader and aces leader in Washington history.
And she feels so fortunate to have been granted that additional year of eligibility. She really felt like last season, losing in those semis to Stanford, that it was unfinished business. She came with a mission, and she's certainly hoping to get it done today.
When she and Morrison were not at the top of their games last year when they lost in the semis, both were playing through injuries, and both are back healthy this year. Dogs have been digging so far in the first game of the match. Danny Mancuso serving for Nebraska. Candace Lee to Thompson, setting Haggerty. Missed that one.
Amazing to see how many hitting errors we have seen so far tonight. 11 for Washington, 8 for Nebraska. Look at the numbers. That tells you just how high the quality of opponent is and how much pressure they're under tonight.
And Nebraska was #1 in the country, or Washington was. Nebraska was #4 in the nation, so they were among the best all year long, as Washington has a point off the Nebraska net violation, and they are now 2 points away from taking the opening game.
Look for Candace Lee to go down the line, right back to Pavin.
Mancuso shades over to help out. Decent. Sets Haggerty. That's a middle blocker with the set. Five kills for Haggerty, and it is game point Washington. Pavin. The All-American sends it down the line.
And that's what can happen when you get a good pass.
All about Pavin out of Canada. A couple more game points here for Washington.
Ooh, that could have been help.
Haggerty. They tell him. Chance here for the Huskies. Back row. Chrystal Morrison. Game over. The 3 seed takes game 1 over the top seed. The University of Washington wins game 1, trying for their first national championship.
Taking a quick break?
I'd like to see those for someone very special.
Has she been good?
Very good, for goodness sake.
This holiday, what do you give the most important person on your list? Diamond solitaire earrings from Kay Jewelers, where you can be assured of 2 things. First, every diamond is hand-selected to match beautifully. And second, she'll absolutely love them.
Chris, they're beautiful.
How did you know? Every kiss begins with K.
Since 1989, Coca-Cola has provided more than $35 million in college scholarships. And as the NCAA's first corporate champion, Coca-Cola proudly supports 88 NCAA championships in 23 sports for 360,000 student athletes every year. Satisfying a thirst for learning, both in the classroom and on the field. The Coca-Cola Company and the NCAA.
The Nebraska Huskers roll into town looking for their third national championship. Washington wants its first. Both sides have been close all year long atop the polls, and now they finally face off on the floor to decide the national championship. And here inside the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, the Huskies take game one over the Huskers, 30-26. The statistics from game one look like this. The errors costly for Nebraska.
Unforced errors, absolutely huge. You look at those 5 service errors and also 8 hitting errors, and both teams playing below their normal statistical averages, but again, I think it's because of the quality of the opponent as well as the ambiance and the nerves of playing in the national championship match. Bree Haggerty was amazing in the semis. Again, a great quick start. Game one had 5 kills for Washington.
And perhaps a surprise to some that Washington takes the opener, but got an interesting story about the coaches and behind the scenes came up with the Huskies actually as the team they thought would win this.
Exactly. This has been no surprise to the coaches here from across the country. They actually got together yesterday in a seminar and statistically analyzed both teams to determine who would win the championship. What they came up with, after all was said and done, one half of the room that Washington would win 3-1 and the other half that Washington would win 3-2. This was not emotionally based, but purely from statistical analysis. The 2 things that really stood out, one was the amount of unforced errors, and by that I mean not hitting into the block, because that's just a good block, but hitting it out, serving it out, having a ball go through your hands, anything that you're completely in control of. Washington won in that category. The other statistic was side-out ability. Washington all season long has been amazing. They feel that if they side out at 70% or better, they will win a match. Well, in the semis, they sided out at a 73% rate, and tonight they're doing the same thing.
Underway here in game 2. And Nebraska starts out with the point. And of course, even though we're in the rally scoring system, all the coaches and players still refer to siding out from the old days of when the games went to 15.
And by that, I mean what Washington's doing right now, and that is receiving serve. You have such high probability because you're the first one to take an offensive swing at the ball. You should have the advantage.
Exact opposite of game 1. It's Nebraska jumping out quickly. Christina Hotelling, the AVCA National Player of the Year, won that honor last night. A bit of a surprise to Hotelling, who is from a small town in Nebraska. Very humbling to her. A lot of folks probably thought her teammate Sarah Pavin or Sonja Tomasavic would get the honor. But Hotelling has had a fantastic season, has shown remarkable improvement this year over last.
And Hotelling said during the banquet, I was just there to support my teammates. When they said Christina, I didn't even think it was me. And then they said my last name, and she was truly stunned, humbled, and of course very honored. Interesting, Nebraska has not lost a game until this game 1 of the finals since losing to Texas in the last regular season Big 12 match. So it's interesting to see how they respond after sweeping through the entire tournament. They responded quite well here early in game 2.
Washington comes back with a point, and now Candace Lee will serve, the senior from Eugene, Oregon. All Pac-10 selection. One of the 8 All-Americans on the floor.
More All-Americans than ever combined in a championship match.
Again, serving to Sarah Pavin. That's been the strategy here for the Huskies. And the serve receive. Haggerty, cross court, overpass. Deasing pounds it down. Here are the 8 All-Americans, 4 on each side of the net. Remarkable. The talent we've got inside the Alamo Dome in one of the most anticipated finals probably since 1998, when Long Beach and Penn State both went into the championship match unbeaten. And the Beach got the win that year.
Here's that double sub for Nebraska that they'll use throughout the match. Busboom comes in as the back row setter. She will now set 3 rotations. Then Maggie Griffin comes back in, so you constantly have 1 back row setter.
Setting Deasing in the middle, stalls, couldn't pop it over. Point Washington. Tomasavic with the jump serve. Busboom setting up Pavin with the left hand, long. Washington bounces back, now up 2.
Now Sarah Pavin in that right front position. We'll see if they try and serve short. Still trying to disrupt up there.
Saliamua tools the block for the kill. That's 4 now for Jennifer. She and Elmer, the 2 seniors on this team.
A lot of people think Nebraska is a favorite to return to the national semis next year, where it's hosted in Omaha.
They have only lost 10 matches their entire careers in Lincoln. On the other side for Washington, perhaps a little more sense of urgency. They've got 5 seniors that all play extensive minutes. The kill for Chrystal Morrison.
And Morrison turning into a southpaw on that play. Had to use her left hand to set outside the antenna. Three-person serve receive for Nebraska.
To Pavin again. And the block by Morrison. The sophomore from Puyallup, Washington. Last year's freshman of the year in the Pac-10.
There's that 3-person serve receive. They continue to try and attack Pavin. That time instead, Saliamua.
She steps up for the big swing. It was 300, what's the count? 372 days ago, I believe, was when Nebraska lost in the region final to USC. And by all accounts, from the Husker Nation, a devastating loss for this team. And they popped right back the next day, and their mission has been to win this national championship ever since.
Which means Christina Hoteling has had that lanyard around her wrist for 372 very long days.
Falling apart at the seams, but she will not take it off. Tiny serving to Pavin. Hoteling has it set back.
Boy, and Washington giving Nebraska a taste of its own medicine, putting up the triple block. A lot of people think Courtney Thompson, the setter, the smallest player for Washington, is a blocking liability, and they'll try and go after her, but actually she gets a ton of blocks because of her athleticism.
Washington hanging right with Nebraska in the blocks department so far. Myrie. Larson tried to tip it deep. Buster now looks to Jordan Larson. Tiny with some D. Morrison set back. Stalls and Hoteling with the swat. Nebraska has spent an awful lot of time here in games 1 and 2 playing from behind.
Really unfamiliar territory for them. John Cook having to work magic as a coach, keeping them focused.
Morrison, another kill for Chrystal. her 6th of the match.
And Washington moves into what I think is its strongest point-scoring rotation. Thompson in the back row has 3 hitters across the net, and Morrison, Tomasavic, and Myrie.
Griffin looking to Larson. That's the 4th pancake dig of the match. Griffin to Hotelling. Net violation on the Huskies, point Nebraska.
And that would be one of those unforced errors I'm talking about, because Nebraska really giving Washington a free ball, and instead Washington swinging into the net, giving the opponent a point. Unforced errors rare for Washington all season long.
Lee's pass to Thompson, and Myrie with the kill. There's another point from the middle. That matchup you said would be crucial.
I absolutely agree. Jim McLaughlin said, you know what, it's the outside matchup that's important because of percentages. So many more sets go to the outside. We need to have good numbers out there, but I think to do that, you have to have success in the middle, especially when Nebraska has such talent in that position.
Have to keep that block honest. Looking for a touch, and they got one. Point Nebraska. Larson's first kill of the match. For the former Nebraska High School Player of the Year out of Loganview High, and the 2nd-ranked recruit in the nation coming in this year. Behind Cynthia Barbosa out at Stanford.
Cynthia Barbosa, one of the most anticipated freshmen in a long time. A disappointing year, ended up tearing her ACL midway through the season for John Dunning and the Cardinal.
They are the defending national champs. In fact, the Pac-10 school has won the last 4 in a row. Washington trying to make it 5. They're on their way right now. They took game 1. They are up here in game 2. Again, credit to Thompson for balancing this attack out. Myrie, Haggerty, Morrison, Tomasavic, all with at least 4 kills so far.
You can't say enough about the leadership that you see from Courtney Thompson. Great quarterback, great leader for this squad.
They are up midway through game 2, and when we come back, we'll hear from the Huskies themselves why they think they will take home the trophy.
A family business serving the Northwest for over 21 years. Urian Toyota Scion, a car dealer that makes you feel at home. That's the way we do business. See us this week for a huge selection of new and Toyota certified used and a hassle-free buying experience. Service and parts second to none. A state-of-the-art collision center. All at Urian Toyota Scion, 1st Avenue South next to SeaTac, the center of the known world. Also at BurianToyota.com.
Fair debate and a lively exchange of ideas. That's what City Club is all about. In an increasingly polarized world, City Club offers in-depth and unbiased hearings of vital issues for your life and our community. City Club is a nonpartisan, nonprofit civic education organization offering face-to-face access to leading experts, elected officials, and influential business leaders. Learn more about the benefits of membership for you and your organization by logging on to seattlecityclub.org today and find out why City Club is the place for you.
This is the year for the Washington Huskies because we go hard every play, every day.
Because we compete like crazy in every drill we do.
We're really confident in each other.
We enjoy each other on and off the court.
We've been here before, we know what it's like, and we're ready to roll.
And they have been rolling along, stunning this partisan Husky crowd thus far here at the Alamo Dome. 31-1 on the season after a school record 23-0 start. They won the Pac-10 championship for the 2nd year in a row. And tonight they've taken game 1 and are up in game 2, looking for their first ever national championship. This was a team that was dead last in the Pac-10 conference just 5 years ago before Jim McLaughlin arrived.
And Jim McLaughlin has brought just an inspired confidence and new tradition in such a hurry. And we talked about the fact that the national team wanted him, and tells you how much this program means to him that he decided to stay.
Pavin dumps it over the block for the kill.
Jim McLaughlin with an opportunity to become the first coach in the history of volleyball to win a championship for both men and women. You see what he's done at UW. Well, he also won a championship with the men at USC in 1990.
He's been an inspiration, Heather, not only to his team, but to a lot of the other coaches at Washington.
In fact, the football coach, Tyrone Willingham, walked by and saw the chalkboard that McLaughlin prepares. You see how detailed it is, and it is full of motivation. Tyrone Willingham actually took that chalkboard into his locker room to his football team and said, this team's #2 in the country. This is why we need to do the same thing.
Nebraska nibbling away at the Washington lead. Timeout in game 2.
This is titanium, and only Remington can deliver it in their revolutionary titanium shaving system, designed for a shave that's incredibly close and comfortable. Remington Titanium. It could just make all other shavers obsolete.
At Denny's, you get more than a great value. You get a great breakfast. Introducing Denny's delicious fruit-baked French toast with real peaches or raisins and cinnamon baked right in the bread. Plus all the extras for an incredible $4.99. Denny's, we're cooking now. North, where the air gets cold. Tale about Christmas that you've all been told. And a really famous cat all wrapped up in that.
Christmas comes this time each year. The NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship here in San Antonio. Washington leading 1-0, and they are up in game 2 as we take a look at the Coca-Cola game track. Thus far, Nebraska has struggled at what is usually a strength of theirs. 5 service errors in the first game and another one in the second. Washington doesn't have any. And it's been dig domination for the Huskies as they have been fantastic on the defensive end, keeping balls alive and giving their Husky hitters a chance to knock them down.
And that Washington defense has forced Nebraska into hitting just 113 as a team. I don't think anybody would have thought they'd hit that low coming into this match.
Point Huskies on the kill for Sonja Tomasavic, the first ever Pac-10 Player of the Year. 6 kills now for her as she steps behind the service line. Great serve. Busting to Sally Amua. Another good defensive play, but a double contact called on Thompson.
Courtney Thompson turned in saying that's not a double, and after the great pancake dig by Tomasavic, so frustrating to hear that whistle blow. Thompson calling the plays. In between each play, she'll hold up 3 different signals, letting her hitters know what set she's setting them.
The block.
Boy, and such balance already. Courtney Thompson is a junior this year, but she's been a captain since her freshman year. That's the type of leader she is. She just doesn't settle for anything but perfection. Each night before she goes to bed, she watches tape of some of the world's best setters, players like Jeff Stork and Ricardo out of Brazil, tries to emulate them.
Lee kept it alive momentarily. Yeah, Thompson plays with that military-like precision. Same way off the court, where she's an academic All-America. Her grandfather was a military man. Her brother, a Rhodes Scholar out of the Naval Academy. Decent, sliding behind, got it down. There's Courtney's mother, Linda.
Now, the entire Thompson family made the trek. Her grandparents are here. Her junior high school coach, Drew Terry, is here. And even that brother you talk about, Trevor, who's the Rhodes Scholar, came all the way in from Oxford to watch his sister play.
They are a small contingent, but they are a boisterous bunch. All the folks in purple here today. Nebraska comes back with a kill. Pavin now starting to warm up. Her 7th kill, hitting at 267. She was negative for a while there in the opening game. Sally Amua has really been their most consistent weapon thus far. Larson blocked. Morrison up there again.
Boy, and Washington inching closer and closer to being even with Nebraska. 7 blocks for Washington, 8 for Nebraska. That is a huge plus for Husky fans.
Huskers average an 8-block advantage in every match over the course of the season. Hotel, right at Dowchich. Thompson looks to Morrison and gets it down.
Washington's transition has been just so good, turning defense into offense, and a very happy Thompson family.
There's a lot more to Courtney Thompson. 20-16, the lead for Washington as she leads the way. Let's get to know the junior from Kent.
Hi, my name is Courtney Thompson. I'm from Kent, Washington, and my friends call me C-Tom. I'm a 2-time academic All-American, and I hope to someday be a collegiate athletic director. Before every game, I like to listen to The Phantom of the Opera and The Lion King. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
Makes me laugh every time I see it.
Very loose, relaxed bunch coming in, even though this is their first ever appearance in the final. She was tops in the country this year in assists.
And Courtney Thompson's just 5'8", which these days is very small for a Division I player. In fact, a lot of D1 coaches said, you're too small, but it was Jim McLaughlin that came in and said, you know what? It's not how big you are, it's how great you are.
Look at the Rhodes Scholar. I guess that would be an art history or face painting of some sort.
He's taking a little break from his Rhodes Scholar title.
He's been on the road a long time, apparently, has Trevor. Here supporting his little sister.
I wonder what his military family thinks of the purple paint.
Larson. Pushed back across at the net by Myrie.
And I hate to harp on this, but at what point does Nebraska make a change and move Sarah Pavin out of the serve receive? Because as much as she's getting served, that begins to affect her performance offensively, defensively, every aspect of the game. She's right in the middle of the court. Move her around. Don't make her such a target.
They've been trying to go to her all night. Morrison. Larson. Missed it. Point Washington. The NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship match. The 3-seed Washington and the top seed Nebraska. Beth Mullins along with Heather Cox here at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Washington seeking its first ever national championship in women's volleyball. Nebraska looking for its third. And shocking developments thus far in what many anticipated to be a 5-set marathon. Washington, a winner in game 1, and they're up here in game 2. And on a 5-1 run, make it 6. And threatening to run the Huskers right out of the building.
And again, they continue to score points in their strongest rotation. Courtney Thompson serving. Very defensive rotation, scoring points in transition.
Griffin to Elmer. Tomasavic. We're now looking to Morrison. Elmer with a piece of it. Griffin, a quick set in the middle, blocked. Nebraska just seems to be out of rhythm right now. Morrison with a swing. And the kill.
And because Nebraska's out of rhythm, they're really not getting good swings at the ball. Washington, that low air team, is just going to continue to press and force you to make a mistake.
Huskies are rolling here in game 2, 24-16 over the team that has been ranked #1 all year long. It's a 7-1 run right now for Washington.
And Washington's defense forcing Nebraska, hitting 0% right now. The player of the year, Christina Hotelling, hitting just .045.
Jim McLaughlin's Huskies looking for that national championship. He's got one already on the men's side.
He knows what it feels like back in 1990 as the head coach for the USC Trojans. Led them to a national championship. Here's a vintage look at Jim McLaughlin. Brian Ivey led that Trojan squad to the title, and Jim McLaughlin at the helm could become the first coach in volleyball history to win a title both with the men and the women.
He looks as young as he did 15 years ago
exactly
in that photo. He's come up with a game plan that has obviously included serving at Sarah Pavin quite a bit, and the passing has been a problem as a result for Nebraska.
Absolutely. You don't see the power. You don't see Nebraska utilizing its size because they're constantly pulled off of the net, forced to take swings off a high outside sets. That's allowed Washington to get 18 blocks and forced Nebraska to hit very low numbers. This is a team that likes to hit in the high 2s, low 300s. It's a lot like a baseball batting percentage. The fact that they're below 100 is not good news for the Husker Nation.
And Washington is now out blocking Nebraska, which is a huge story in this one. Washington did get a touch. Point Nebraska. Tomasavic with 6 kills, Hotelling with 5. The two big dogs coming in, neither with the hitting percentage they were hoping for.
And you have to give credit to the opponent. Both teams putting up solid blocks, digging a lot of balls, forcing those averages to go way down.
That was the National Player of the Year and probably the runner-up for the award, and Hotelling and Tomasavic respectively. Here's Sonja, unable to find the floor. Mancuso is blocked. Washington has owned the net. Morrison. Elmer with the kill. That is her second of the match. Melissa averages 2 a game. 7-point deficit now facing the Huskers.
And this is when they really need to cut down on those unforced errors. They need to play perfect volleyball to get back in this second game.
Gonna be a free ball here for Washington. Lee's pass to Thompson. Myrie in the middle with just 1 blocker up.
We talked about the importance of that matchup in the middle. So far, I think Washington's middles are outplaying Nebraska's. They have combined for 7 kills, but more importantly, they're hitting about 350 as a position, much better than Nebraska's.
Huskers come back to Elmer once again, sliding behind. And the Lee-Thompson combination, the pass and the set, has been pretty close to flawless to this point for Washington.
Candace Lee, the Libero, wearing the different colored jersey, I think is the best Libero in the country, perhaps rivaled by maybe a Paula Genshu from Minnesota and a Deborah Seelhammer out of USC.
Thompson. Haggerty. Thompson goes back to Bree. Again, Thompson loves to reset a player and give her another chance. There's Candace Lee, the senior from Eugene, Oregon.
And she's wearing that different color jersey because she can go in and out of the game without counting as a substitution. She can serve for the 2nd year in a row. She's just a defensive specialist. Cannot hit or attack the ball at any time.
What a special night.
The antenna.
That one was off the antenna, point for Washington. And what a special night it would be for Candace and Jim McLaughlin. That was her first, she was the first recruit that McLaughlin reeled in when he arrived. And the point actually goes to Nebraska on that one. Rachel Schwartz on to serve, the freshman from Lincoln. Haggerty's blocked. Hotelling and Stalls sends it back.
And You look at Candace Lee's numbers, and it's hard to believe she's even playing volleyball. Second all-time in the Pac-10, but back in high school, they thought she had a blood disorder. They actually went in, did surgery, and discovered, believe it or not, that she had 3 spleens. They ended up retaking all 3 of them out, and she has since made a full recovery.
Salamua off the block. Gets the kill. Nebraska trying to rally here in game 2, down by 5. And the Husker Nation now starting to make some noise. They have been held in check so far by the tremendous performance by Washington.
We've seen so much balance from Washington, and their block has typically been phenomenal.
All tied up in the blocks department. And that's significant more for Washington because Nebraska has led the nation in blocking in 4 of the last 5 seasons, including this year.
Yeah, I think any Washington player or coach would say, hey, if we can go 1-to-1 with Nebraska blocking, we're in very good shape. That rarely happens. Nebraska and John Cook considered the best blocking coach in the country, and with the size that he has and the technique that he teaches, they usually outblock their opponent a good 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio.
NCAAsports.com is the official online home for all 88 NCAA championships. For an in-depth recap, post-game comments from coaches and players, and the official stats of tonight's championship match, log on to NCAAsports.com. Salamua has been the go-to girl to this point.
Yeah, she's been the one bright spot for Nebraska, hitting .615. The problem is her teammates not holding up, hitting .118 as a team. Credit the Washington block and defense for not letting any balls drop.
Games to 30, must win by 2. Thompson to Haggerty. Salamua got her hands on that one. Hoteling. Tough set to handle. Got that one in. Point Nebraska. This run here by the Huskers coming off the service of Rachel Swartz. The walk-on. Who grew up as a Husker ball girl for their 2000 national championship team. Hoteling gets the kill.
And Hoteling's starting to spark up, gets her 7th kill, but problem is she's had 4 hitting errors, but most of those came early. She's settled down, has become much more consistent here in the second game.
It's a 5-0 run for Nebraska. Another tough serve from Schwartz. Net violation for Nebraska. Danka Danicic on the serve. Busboom to Sarah Pavin. Lee's pass to Thompson. The back set, back row. Tomasavic. Point Washington, and it is now game point for the commanding 2-0 lead in the match. Knocked back over by Thompson. Danny Busboom, quick set to Stalls. Washington able to track it down again. Busboom again, Stalls sliding behind, goes cross court.
Stalls has been quiet, just her 2nd kill. She needs to become more active.
Salamua checks with John Cook as to where they want to serve it. Thompson to Morrison. Point Huskies. And Washington takes game 2 of the match. And a commanding 2-0 lead in this national championship showdown with #1 Nebraska. Coming up in our intermission, a look at the 25th anniversary team, plus highlights from our first 2 games.
you been in an accident of any kind? Any stalling, sputtering, that kind of thing?
Don't buy a used car without a Carfax history report. Now with the buyback guarantee. For details, ask your dealer or go to Carfax.com.
Okay, when we're all done, I'm calling Mom, Mom calls Glenn, Glenn calls Kim.
I'm calling him.
Glenn calls Kim.
Who's calling me?
I'm calling you.
And I'm calling him.
Exactly. Good.
Wait.
What?
We don't have cell phones.
I don't have a cell phone.
Actually, I don't have a cell phone either.
This holiday, surprise someone in your family with this amazing LG camera phone with flash and speakerphone and get a second camera phone free. 2 great phones for 1 great price. Call us, visit us online, or stop by a Verizon Wireless communications store.
Everyone know who they're calling?
No.
Great.
Verizon Wireless.
This holiday season, take your family to a galaxy far, far away with the biggest movie of the year. Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith on DVD. This 2-disc set is packed with over 6 hours of bonus features. Buy Star Wars Episode 3 on DVD today.
Where the air gets cold. Christmas that you've all been told. And a really famous cat all wrapped up in that. Christmas comes this time each year.
The echo in the gym, the squeak of the shoes, the buzzer, the brick, the whistle, the crowd, swish. I left the game, but it'll never leave me.
There are over 360,000 NCAA student athletes, and just about all of us are going pro in something other than sports.
The Riverwalk here in downtown San Antonio, Texas. We're just a short ride away at the Alamo Dome for the NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship. And the 3-seed Washington, impressive thus far, taking games 1 and 2 away from the top-seeded Nebraska Huskers. This is the 25th anniversary of this NCAA tournament, and the celebration last night honoring, among other things, the 25th anniversary team. And they had quite the gala at the Empire Theater last night in San Antonio.
6 players honored with that all-NCAA 25 team. Dave Shoji named Coach of the Year. And as they move to the award ceremony and banquet, Logan Tom on that team. You see Elena Oden, Dietrich Collins.
This is current AVCA All-Americans with a little fashion show of the old uniforms from the 80s and 90s. And it was a nice night for them as well as they were honored. A little chit-chat with the 25th anniversary team.
One of the toughest jobs was certainly narrowing down a list of about 80 players down to 6. You see the 6 that made it. UCLA's Natalie Williams not in attendance, playing overseas professional basketball. You saw Logan Tom there. Carrie Walsh still on her honeymoon after marrying Casey Jennings a few weeks ago, not in attendance. Dietrich Collins out of Hawaii, Elena Oden out of Pacific, Danielle Scott and Dave Shoji rounding it out. But you know, it was tough. Players like Misty May, Tara Cross, Kim Oden, Ogana Namani, so many talented players. So hard to narrow it down to 6.
It was quite a night last night at the Empire Theater. Washington up 2-0 here in the national championship match. The Home Depot coaching clinic when we come back, the 6-2 offense.
This holiday, the bad guys are the good guys.
Taking your sister under my protection.
And the ultimate weapon is on board.
What a crew you've got. Yeah, they're fine boys.
Serenity. The action takes off on DVD Tuesday.
Your brother really wants a circular saw. S-Claws. Oh, my brother.
Need a last-minute gift?
We're going to his house.
Head to the Home Depot. This handy Ryobi Air Grip Multitask Kit is only $39. It's 5 tools in one, from a laser level to a work light to a helping hand.
The Home Depot. You can do it, we can help.
This is titanium, and only Remington can deliver it in their revolutionary titanium shaving system, designed for a shave that's incredibly close and comfortable. Remington Titanium. It could just make all other shavers obsolete.
Get ready for the biggest electronics gifts of the season. Come into Sears right now and pay no interest for 18 months on any home electronics purchase over $299. It's going to be a big holiday. Wish big. Sears.
North where the air gets cold. Tale about Christmas that you've all been told. And a really famous cat all wrapped up in that. Christmas comes this time each year.
Back inside the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, the NCAA Women's National Championship match, Washington. A commanding 2-0 lead over top-seeded Nebraska. They are now one game win from their first national championship. Now let's take a look at the Home Depot coaching clinic and the 6-2 Nebraska offense.
You don't see it very often, but it's been very successful. There's the setter in the back row. You've got 3 hitters in the front row, and as you see, the setter comes out of the back row. The advantage with that 6-2 is at all times you've got 3 hitters. Now the reason everybody doesn't run it is because you need to have the personnel. You have to have 2 very gifted setters and a lot of great attackers. Nebraska's run it, and they've had a ton of success. 24-0 against opponents that haven't seen the 6-2. It just gives a much different look. Not working very well tonight. Washington scouted it well.
And the Huskies lead the Huskers 2-0. Back after this.
Nobody does more except more this holiday season. No down, no payments till 2007, and no interest till 2008. All with no minimum purchase at More Furniture for Less. Holiday savings on living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, and mattresses. Nobody does more except more. No down, no payments till 2007, no interest till 2008 with no minimum purchase. At More Furniture for Less this weekend, 3 days.
Family-owned Magic Toyota right on Highway 99 in Edmonds is the Toyota dealership that gives you choices. It's the once-a-year Toyotathon sales event at Magic Toyota with great savings on 2005s and new 2006 Toyotas already in stock. Lease a 2006 Tundra truck for $595 total down and $197 per month, or a 2006 Camry, $595 total down and $249 per month. Come on in today. Visit Magic Toyota and the Magic Toyota Certified Used Car Center right on Highway 99 in Edmonds, or see their entire inventory at magictoyota.com.
Washington leading Nebraska 2-0 here in San Antonio, the 25th anniversary of the women's volleyball NCAA tournament. Who will it be capping off the first 25 years? A 3rd title for Nebraska, or the first ever for a Washington team that was dead last in the Pac-10 just 5 years ago? They came up short last year and are now closing in on the title. Beth Mowens along with Heather Cox here at the Alamo Dome. Washington impressive in taking games 1 and 2, and a bit of a surprise to a lot of folks here who thought this one would be 5 and perhaps favorable to Nebraska.
Well, I think the difference is Washington is playing Washington volleyball. This is what we've seen all season long. They've taken Nebraska out of its game plan. Washington blocking as well, if not better. They're playing better defense, forcing Nebraska to just 140 as a team. I don't think anybody's seen Nebraska play this poorly all season long. The reason is because Washington is taking them out of their game plan.
Let's take a look at these statistics now through the first couple of games. Nebraska hitting just $140.
And that's because of 18 hitting errors. They also have 6 service errors. Washington making them very uncomfortable in every aspect of the game. Conversely, Washington really cutting down on those unforced errors with 32 kills. And the digs have been impressive as well. 32 digs for Washington. And Washington looking like the much better team right now. Nebraska needed that long intermission between games 2 and 3. Look for them to come out regrouped, refocused, and a much better team in this game 3.
The 2 big swingers, not with the hitting percentage they'd like. They're starting to get a little hotter in the kill department. Tomasavic with 7, and Hotelling, the National Player of the Year, with 6 kills in the match.
But Washington and Tomasavic providing a lot more support. Thompson really distributing to everybody. Chrystal Morrison with 10 kills. Bree Haggerty supporting with 7. Darla Myrie out of the middle with 5. And again, the advantage to Washington in the middle position of the court has been key in this matchup. I think Nebraska's middles, Melissa Elmer has got to get on track, hitting just 0.62. Tracy Stalls just 2 kills and 2 errors. Big difference in hitting percentage.
And there are the games 1 and 2. The big improvement for Washington. They hit 350 in the second game. And now Nebraska really in a hole. 2 teams in the 24-year history of this tournament have rallied from 0-2 deficits in the final to win the national championship. Hawaii in '82 did it, UCLA in '91. On a couple of occasions in both '97 and '98, Penn State rallied to force a game 5 and then lost in the final game of the match.
Nebraska is accustomed to coming back. They were down 0-2 against Missouri earlier in the season, did come back and win in 5. And ironically, that Missouri team is about as close an opponent that they face that's similar in style to Washington. A quick offense, small athletic team.
Chrystal Morrison blocked by Nebraska. Huskers in white, Huskies in purple. Melissa Elmer led the nation in blocks this year. Second year in a row she's done that. That's never happened before in women's volleyball history. Jordan Larson, the freshman, serving it up. Courtney Thompson, the back set to Chrystal Morrison for the kill. Morrison, the sophomore from Puyallup, Washington, led the Pac-10 in aces this year after a Pac-10 Freshman of the Year campaign in 2004. She had 2 aces in the semi and misses long on that one. Coming into this championship match, neither side had lost a game in their 5 previous matches in the tournament. Washington's still there. Nebraska has dropped a couple here in the final.
The big key is how do they react? How tough are they? How mature?
It's in the back set to Sonja Tomasavic. The senior enjoying an extra year of eligibility as Pavin goes cross court. The Big 12 Player of the Year will need to make a little more noise here in games 3, 4, and 5.
Well, and I think Sarah Pavin and Christina Hoteling have gotten better as this match has progressed. That's a good sign. They need to settle down and just execute.
Thompson setting Myrie in the middle. Jennifer Salamura finds the floor for the kill.
What a bright spot she has been, just so consistent. Salamura, great defensively always, but tonight she's providing the offense that Nebraska needs.
Most energy we've seen yet tonight from Nebraska, opening game 3.
Know what they're thinking? The new Arby's Market Fresh Reuben sandwich. Choose corned beef or turkey, melted Swiss, Thousand Island dressing, and sauerkraut on toasted marble rye. Also try our new loaded potato bites with Cool Ranch sour cream sauce. It'll have you saying, I'm thinking Arby's.
North where the air gets cold. Tale about Christmas that you've all been told. And a really famous cat all wrapped up in that.
Hi, I'm Sarah Pavin from the University of Nebraska, and you're watching the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship on ESPN2.
Santa's making his list and checking it twice, and the Huskers are looking for a national championship. They've got a long way to go to get there. Down 0-2 with Sarah Pavin, first-team All-America, will lead the charge. Not only is she good on the court, but off it as well. A 4.0 GPA in biochemistry. She's an ESPN, the magazine, academic All-America. And there she is with the kill.
And she's just gotten better and better as this match has progressed. Now 10 kills into double digits for Sarah, member of the Canadian national team. Her mother also on that Canadian national team, and her dad, Paul, the only coach she'd ever had until John Cook at Nebraska.
She was rangy last year at 6'5" and added 20 pounds of muscle this season. work of Laura Pilikowski, their strength and conditioning coach, who's also a former player at Nebraska. Another good defensive play by Washington. Back row, Hotelling, wide.
There's a look at Cindy, former national team member of the Canadian volleyball team. Looking a little nervous. She knows too much about this game to be comfortable right now.
And one of the things that has helped Sarah tremendously this year as well, as she gets another kill, has been the emergence of Hotelling. Sarah has taken a lot fewer swings this year. Her kill numbers are down, but she stays fresher longer in a match now.
Exactly. In years past, they've really had to rely on Sarah. Last year, she took so many more swings, but Hotelling, I think the most improved player in the country. She's added 5 inches to her vertical this year. Nebraska feeling it right now.
Another ace, the second for Pavin, the 4th for the team.
And that's a difference. They weren't serving with this much aggressiveness in games 1 and games 2. They're really going for it now. A price you have to pay now. 7 service errors. Conversely, Washington with just 1 service error. Washington serving a little bit more conservatively though in this match.
Tomasavic. Right at Pavin and a tough serve. Deasing dumps it over the block on the tip. Tomasavic serves it Pavin again on the outside. Sally Amua has it blocked. Hotelling, Lee digs it up. Bree Haggerty through the block.
Bree Haggerty, a transfer out of Ohio State. In the past, had a tendency to be hot and cold, but in this tournament, she's been nothing but hot. A great outside force.
8 kills now for Bree. Stalls. Got it down inside the block. Point for Nebraska. Bree Haggerty, the senior from, great name, Defiance, Ohio.
Big night tonight in the semifinal win against Tennessee. 16 kills, hit 294 in those 3 games.
Point for Washington. Yeah, it's Haggerty, Myrie, Candice Lee, Danka Danicic, and Sonja Tomasavic, the 5 members of this senior class. I'd love to go out getting Washington that first national championship. It would be the 5th in school history. Football has 1 and women's crew has 3. Hotelling. Off the block wide, point Nebraska. It's Washington and Nebraska in the NCAA Division I Women's Volleyball National Championship match here in San Antonio, Texas. Beth Mullins and Heather Cox. And the Huskies surprising the top seed by winning games 1 and 2. If they win the 3rd, they win the national championship for the first time in school history. But not if Nebraska keeps blocking like that. In their first appearance ever in the national championship final. Maggie Griffin serving for the Huskers. None of them have been here before, but the program certainly has. Second only to Stanford in NCAA history in tournament wins and tournament win percentage as they go for their 3rd national championship.
And ironically, the 2 previous years that they won in 95 and 2000, they had the National Player of the Years. In 95, it was Allison Weston. In 2000, Gracia Lisa-Perro. Well, this year, Christina Hotelling of Nebraska earned National Player of the Year, and they're hoping to keep that trend alive.
First championship under former coach Terry Pettit. The second was under John Cook in his first season. Griffin looks to Hotelling. Hard to get any tip down with the defense. Net violation on Nebraska. Ashley Courtney, the sophomore from Honolulu, now on to serve.
And you know what's changed here in game 3? Washington continues to serve Sarah Pavin, but she's passing so much better. That time, the perfect pass led to the kill out of the middle by Elmer. Sarah Pavin has settled down dramatically.
Hotelling serving. Thompson sets Chrystal. Morrison pounds that one down. Chrystal leading the charge with 13 kills. That's tops in the match on either side of the net. Elmer starting to make her presence known a bit more here in game 3.
Now this is the Nebraska team we're accustomed to seeing better ball control, tougher serving, and John Cook's vintage blocking scheme.
Larson serves, missed it long. 8th service error.
And it's really a tough decision. Jordan Larson, just a freshman playing on the biggest stage of her career, has only 1 kill in this match, but she's their toughest server, but already a couple of service errors, so it's just tough to know what you're going to get out of freshmen.
Griffin looks to Pavin. Make the switch to the different setter now here in the 6-2 as Busboom will come on to serve.
And Busboom, a great story, was actually an outside hitter in high school, dreamed of going to Nebraska. John Cook said, you know what, the only way that you're going to come here is if you switch positions and become a setter. So that's exactly what she did to make her dream come true.
You mentioned Allison Weston. She's wearing Allison's number 18 jersey, her idol growing up. Really the story of Nebraska volleyball, from a small town. A lot of these players grew up on farms and had to, make the long trip to the gym, or would pound the ball off the side of the barn at home. Just great athletes that evolved into great volleyball players.
And in Nebraska, unlike most states, girls grow up dreaming of playing volleyball, not basketball, not soccer, and that's because of Terry Pettit and the legend that he started really grassroots volleyball, going out to all the high schools, all the clubs, and getting young girls interested in the sport.
They have 57 Division I players out of the state of Nebraska. The best of them tend to stay home and play for the Huskers, and why not? They've had 71 consecutive sellouts at home. They sell courtside seats to all their home matches. And that's a big reason why the NCAA will be heading to Omaha, Nebraska, in the Press Center for the national championships next year.
Good dig.
Thompson looks to Haggerty. Tools that block. Point Washington.
Huge adjustment in this game. Both teams hitting such low percentages in the first 2 games, but in this 3rd game, Nebraska with just 1 hitting error, Washington with 3. Both teams settling down, and the block not as effective.
Haggerty. Put right back at her. Salamua. Second Nebraska player ever with 1,000 kills and 1,000 digs in her career, joining Eileen Shannon, who did it 13 years ago. Thompson couldn't connect with Deasing. Stalls the back set and the block. Washington. Disarray on the Husker side. Margaret McLaughlin, Jim's wife, enjoying the action so far. He inherited a last place team at Washington. The wins have gone up every year. A great story with Jim and the former AD Barbara Hedges, who knew him from his days at USC.
Exactly, and then he went to Kansas State, and when Washington was looking for an opening, Barbara Hedges the first to call Jim.
He took the job, and here they are in the national championship match 5 years later.
She's over there.
Worldwide, intercontinental. What you know about me switching the tempo? 411, that's for your info. Make sure it sound nice and simple.
Comcast is way faster than DSL and dial-up, so downloads don't take forever. Comcast high-speed internet. It's Comcastic.
The storms of life keep coming. Terrorists may strike at any time. Natural disasters can leave us in dire straits. Many families are in turmoil, and government cannot always protect us. But God is always ready to help, and as his servants, so are we. To find the nearest Church of Christ, call 1-800-290-4601 or online at PugetSoundChurchesOfChrist.org.
Volleyball National Championship. It's 2-zip Washington. Nebraska by 1 here in Game 3. Let's take a look at the Coca-Cola game track. Tremendous defense throughout the evening by the University of Washington. They have the advantage in digs, helping to keep that ball alive to set up their big hitters. And for Nebraska, Sarah Pavin now starting to get a much better grit on the game as she is leading the charge for the Huskers here in Game 3, the Coca-Cola game track, and it's been quite a turnaround for Sarah.
Indeed, Sarah had 3 kills, hit just 111 in Game 1. Since then, she's added 10 kills to her resume and upped that percentage to 417, so she's been much more efficient. You know, a lot of coaches will say, let's take out our best hitter by serving her, because so often if you give somebody every single ball and get in their head about serving, defense, passing, their offense suffers, and that's exactly what Coach McLaughlin did to Sarah Pavin in the first 2 games.
Griffin serving for Nebraska. They settle Courtney Thompson, looks to Morrison. Larson able to keep it alive. Tomasavic trying to tip it over the block. Back row, Pavin. Starting to impose her will. First freshman to be named first-team All-America last year since Logan Tom did it at Stanford back in 1999. All Logan did was go on to win a national championship, and she was named to the 25th anniversary team as one of the 6 best ever.
And both teams back-to-back starting to use the back row attack, and I love that option. It's using the hitters when they're in the back row. They have to hit behind that 10-foot line, but it just adds one more attacker to the mix. There's that 10-foot line that you have to stay behind if you're in the back row, but you can swing from anywhere on the court if you stay behind it.
Ritani, the serving specialist. Larson. Thompson goes to Morrison, finds the corner. 14 kills now for Chrystal. And Washington is within 1. They have trailed throughout Game 3. Overpass, Morrison crushes it. Griffin to hoteling. Finesses that one around the block.
And that time a smart move. Sarah Pavin 2 points ago was passing in the middle of the court. That time they switched her, moved her to the left side. Just takes her out of the mix a little bit, lets her focus on her offense.
They could use the hoteling option a bit. She's hitting .495 in the NCAA tournament, but just .063 here today. Tomasavic out of the back, blasts it off of hoteling.
You know, I love the philosophy. If you've got a hot hand like Tomasavic, why not use her in 6 rotations? So many times, setters will only use their big gun for the 3 rotations across the net. Hey, bring her in as often as you can.
Tomasavic, the young lady who left Serbia, Montenegro, left the war behind in her native country to come to the United States to get a college education, pushed by her mom and dad through some tough times. They said, you got to keep fighting. That's where you need to be. And she has thrived at Washington, academically and athletically. Elmer with the crush.
Boy, just about every time Nebraska gets a good pass, they're able to terminate out of the middle. The problem is those good passes have come few and far between thanks to Washington's serve.
Off the Larson serve. Kyrie dug up by Larson. Backs it to Morrison, rejected by Elmer.
Elmer's led the nation in blocks per game the last 2 years. It's because of that penetration, the way she drops that left hand, just instinctive to the ball.
Elmer passing up on her graduation. The rest of her classmates getting their degrees today back in Lincoln, and she's here with the team. She will pick up that marketing degree when she gets home. She'd love to take that national championship trophy with her. And a big block from UW. Elmer, whose dad was a terrific college athlete. Grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Arguably the best middle blocker in the nation this year. Outside the antenna, point Nebraska.
Well, you notice it's getting very vocal out there, a lot of emotions. There's some bad blood between these two programs, and Nebraska actually got pretty fired up at a quote appearing in the newspaper in the middle of the season. John Cook made all of his players read it. Sonja Tomasavic of Washington was quoted as saying, we're dominant, we know we're better, we know if we do everything we should, we're going to crush them. The them meaning Nebraska. So Tomasavic predicting an eventual matchup with Nebraska mid-season and saying we will crush them. Nebraska using it as a bit of billboard fodder.
So far, it's been the Huskies, but Nebraska trying to get back in it. They need to win games 3, 4, and 5. It's been done twice before in the last 24 years of the tournament. A team rallying from 0-2 to win the match and the championship. Sarah Pavin serving. Service error, number 9. The service again at Pavin. Buffalo looks to hotel. Bree Haggerty, point Huskies.
So many weapons for Washington. Courtney Thompson doing an amazing job distributing, really keeping Nebraska's block guessing.
And Washington trailing by as many as 5 here in game 3, back on top. Huskies just seem to be getting to everything defensively. Overpass. Point Washington.
And you're right, Washington just making it look easy.
Timeout Huskers. It was expected to be one of the most hotly contested marathon matches in history, but right now Washington threatening to sweep it in 3.
Remember, guys, Tom will be paying with his Visa card. You guys will represent 5 layers of Visa security. Matt, zero liability. Brandon, identity theft assistance. Russ, fraud monitoring.
Why am I fraud monitoring?
What?
Why can't I be zero liability?
Well, Russ, I'm actually zero liability.
Why can't you be identity theft assistance?
I'm identity theft assistance. Hey, listen, I'll be fraud monitoring. You? Fraud monitoring?
With Visa, you're protected.
I'm the director.
Well, why can't I be the director?
NCAA Women's Volleyball National Championship. The 3-seed Washington, stunning top-seeded Nebraska thus far. They took games 1 and 2, and after trailing throughout game 3, they have rallied to regain the lead. The Huskies looking for their first volleyball national championship ever, and trying for the improbable sweep. Prognosticators thought this one would last all night. Hotelling out of the timeout gets the kill. Game is to 30, must win by 2. Sally Moore will serve. Courtney Thompson. Decent solo stuff by Jordan Larson.
It's interesting to watch Nebraska after every timeout. They come out and execute, and that's credit to John Cook and his assistants.
And I believe they've instead given the point back to Washington.
John Cook up asking for an explanation. And they're calling a net violation, a phantom net on Nebraska.
26-24, Washington. Tough pass. Pavin back row. Gets it.
Boy, what a swing that net call made. Instead of it being 26-25 Nebraska, they're still down by 1. 2-point swing. That's tough this late in the game.
Setter shift as Maggie Griffin comes on now. She serves. Thompson, back row, Tomasavic. The varied attack from Washington has kept Nebraska guessing. Morrison, Tomasavic, Haggerty, all with double-digit kills. Again, a passing problem for Nebraska. Washington now 2 points away from the national championship.
And here's the adjustment we needed to see. Pavin moves to the left side of the court, but why wasn't it done sooner?
Ashley Aratani goes at Pavin again for their precision serve. Hotelling over the top. That's 10 now for Hotelling.
Courtney Thompson in the front row, so 2 hitters that Nebraska's block has to worry about. Nebraska, of course, with those 3 hitters running the 6-2 offense.
Thompson looks to Morrison. The double block is up. Salmua looks to Larson. Thompson back outside to Morrison. Can't get it through the block. They'll try Chrystal again. Good hustle by the Huskers, and then into the net for Pavin. And it's match point Washington. Championship point Huskies. Courtney Thompson will serve. Griffin to Elmer. Blocked, and it's over. The Washington Huskies, in a stunning 3-game sweep, win the program's first ever national championship.
Amazing to think just 5 years ago, Washington was last place in the Pac-10, and Margaret's husband, Jim McLaughlin, came in and turned this program around. From worst to first, literally.
They become the 5th Pac-10 team in a row to win the championship. Sonja Tomasavic holding the trophy. And a disappointing finish for Nebraska, ranked #1 all year long. And the Huskies get them in 3 straight, becoming the second team in the 25-year history of this tournament to win the title without dropping a single game. It's Washington in 3, back after this.
It's back for the holidays, and now just $99.99. The Black Razor is back, now at just $99.99 for a limited time. Only from Singular, raising the bar.
Yeah, I have a little attitude, but I've earned it. I've put in the hours. I practice every day. I've learned from the best, and I have no doubt that I can play at the highest level. Right now, I'm guessing I'll end up in either Chicago or New Orleans. Most good jazz musicians do.
There are over 360,000 NCAA student athletes, and just about all of us are going pro in something other than sports.
The national championship in women's volleyball for the first time ever goes to the University of Washington. And the impressive 3-game sweep over top-seeded Nebraska, the team that had been ranked #1 all year long. And Washington shocks them to win the title. Sonja Tomasavic, who left behind war-torn Serbia-Montenegro to come to Seattle, wins the championship in her final match in a Husky uniform. It was an impressive show. Courtney Thompson, the setter, distributing so well. 3 players in double-digit kills and a spectacular defensive performance as well. Jim McLaughlin, a winner on the men's and women's sides, now is with our Heather Cox.
Of course, won in '90 with USC and now wins its first title with Washington. I hate to ask you to compare, but how does this one compare to that title in '90?
This one, for first time in school history, this is better. You know, I loved SC and it was great with those guys, but this is different and it's a little bit better.
5 years ago, you came to Washington and inherited a team that had finished last in the Pac-10. What was it about this program and these players that you knew and you believed in and knew you could get here?
Well, they're great people. You know, I admire them. I admire people that want to be the best. I admire their commitment every day. But I admire them as people and their commitment. It's unreal.
You become just the second team in NCAA history, the first since it expanded to a field of 64, to sweep through the entire tournament. How did you guys keep that level of execution and consistency so high?
It's this team, you know, these guys, they stayed on task. They knew their assignments, their responsibilities, and they trained well every day. And it's just this collective process, but they were unreal.
Tonight you do it against a Nebraska team that had been #1 all season long, one of the biggest teams in the history of volleyball. How did you come in a little bit as the underdog and take down the powerful, huge block?
Well, Heather, we never looked sideways. We've never compared ourselves to anybody, and we just wanted to be as good as we could be. That was the improvement issue, and they stuck to it, and they did a good job.
Courtney Thompson, an amazing leader, has been a captain since her freshman year. What did she do tonight to get so many players involved, such a diverse offense for you guys?
I love the kid. I mean, every day she's like that, and sometimes I have to calm her down, but that's always a good thing. But she did an excellent job setting every hitter here and running our offense.
You seem pretty mellow. How excited are you on the inside?
Oh, I'm fired up. I mean, this is a big deal, but I'm just happy for them and what they've done for this university. But it's a good deal. I'm telling you, it'll hit me later.
Congratulations. You guys have certainly made history here today. Beth, Washington has won its first championship in women's volleyball.
Huskies roll through the NCAA tournament without dropping a game, and they roll over Nebraska in 3 straight. Chrystal Morrison wins the tournament MVP honor. Could be shared by her entire team. A tough way to go out for Nebraska, but Washington just too strong for them today as they win the first national championship in history for the Huskies. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Coming up next, it's college basketball with number 25 Ohio State and Iowa State shortly. Here at the Alamo Dome, the 25th anniversary national championship goes to Washington. For Heather Cox and our entire crew, I'm Beth Moen. So long from San Antonio. Now let's send it to Reese Davis in the college basketball studio.